A record low number of Americans now think it's a bad time to buy a home. Is this signs of a housing market crash? Today we're going to look at this data and see. My name's Tommy. I'm a licensed real estate agent and mortgage broker here in Southern California. Here's the poll right here from Gallup. Now the interesting thing is this poll has been going on since 1978, and this is the lowest time in history since Gallup's been running the poll that Americans think it's a bad time to buy. Check it out. Record low in US say it's a good time to buy a house. For people in general, do you think it is a good time or a bad time, right? So this green line right here is a good time, and then the left is the percentages and below is the years, right? So you can see all the way from the 80s, 50%, go up to 1990, 67%. Now, the really alarming thing is right here at 2008, the low, right where we had the Great Recession with the whole subprime mortgage mess, even at the low of the housing market crisis that happened in 2008, 53% of people still thought it was a good time to buy, even back then. Now you can see here in the last 10 years, since 2010, it's been around 70% of Americans thinking it's a good time to buy a home. And today, we're at 30% of Americans think it's a good time to buy. Here's some interesting information from MarketWatch about this poll. Americans' much more negative assessments of the current housing market may also keep them from looking to buy, which could lead to a slowdown in home sales. If that happens, it would reduce the demand for houses and could lead to a decline in home values. Young adults were the most likely to have a negative outlook on buying a home. Only 25% of people from 18 to 34 believe the timing is right to become a homeowner. In my opinion, I think we're at a tipping point with the housing market for things to start to either cool down or coming to maybe an eventual crash later this year. With interest rates being at an all-time high, the Fed just raised interest rates last week, right? So mortgages we're seeing, I think they could go 6, 7, maybe 8% by the end of this year. For every 1% raise on interest rates, right, from 6 to 7%, that reduces about 10% of purchasing power with buyers in the market. So you've seen just from the beginning of this year, rates being at around 3% to now 6%. That's a 30% less demand from buyers in the market. One of the really fascinating things about this poll is that it's widespread across all demographics in the US that don't think it's a good time to buy. Check this out. Okay, 2021, 2022, and you could see the change in percentage points. Let's look at annual household income. So people, 100,000 or more annual as a household, right? Last year, 55% thought it was a good time to buy. Now down to 27%. So 40,000 to 99 to almost 100,000, 53% last year. Now it's at 29%. Less than 40,000, same thing, around 54%. Now it's 33%. If we go by regions, East, Midwest, South, West, we're talking states across America, okay? Around 50, 60% last year. Now 28, 29, 32, 27. Let's go place of residence, right? People living in cities, suburbs, town, rural areas, right? City, 51, 60, 53 last year, now 30, 27, and 31%. And it's interesting, even people in the suburbs are less than the city and the towns. How about homeowners and renters? How do they differ? Well, last year, 56 and 50, now 29% and 33. So it doesn't matter where you are, what your background is, walk of life, your income. Most Americans don't think it's a good time. Even though the majority of Americans think it's a bad time to buy, 70% still think the price is going to rise. Check this out. Here's the chart. The green is increase, right? So 2006, you saw people thought it's increasing. 2008, right? The market just, tanks, and 22% thought there was going to be an increase, right? Let's go to 2022. In 2022, 70% of the market still think it's going to increase. And how many think it's going to stay the same? Right there, 18% think it's going to stay the same. And the minority, 12% think it's going to decrease. So about 1 in 10 people actually think this year it's going to decrease, and 70% think it's going to increase. I'm more on the increase side. I think it's going to be a lot less. It's not going to be 20, 30%, but maybe, 5 to 10% will see an appreciation in property prices. just because there still is a lack of inventory, all these new households being formed, not enough homes on the market, even with interest rates being high, there still is not enough homes out there. Let's wrap this up and look at the last piece of data. And if you're finding this video enjoyable, make sure to hit the like button. I'm trying to grow the channel. It really helps me a lot. I appreciate it. But as you know, there's been 12 recessions since the Great Depression, right? And real estate's cyclical. You have bear markets, you have bull markets, but real estate is still one of the best long-term investments. And we're gonna look at data. The majority of Americans still think so. So there's a silver lining. Don't be discouraged. If you're buying in the next year or so, plan to hold 7 to 10 years so you could ride out if there's any crash coming, and you won't be negative equity in your home if you sell in 10 years, right? So Americans' opinions of the best long-term investments, okay? You could see there's rated here: bonds, real estate, savings accounts, CDs, stocks or mutual funds, even gold, okay? Look at this right here. Real estate's the green line, so you could see overall, since the last 10 years, the majority of Americans think real estate is still a better long-term investment versus any other asset class. Right now, even in this low we're having with the majority of Americans think it's a bad time to buy right now, still 45%, almost half of Americans, still think it's a great investment to have real estate long-term. So that should be encouraging for you. Stocks, mutual funds are 24%. Gold, 15%, even gold, which is a great asset during times of inflation. People still think real estate's better long term, okay? Savings account CDs, 9%. Well, you don't really get a long term, you don't get a high return on those, but still, it's very safe, right? And bonds, which is very safe, 4%. So for the highest returns, real estate. Right? The bottom line is real estate is an incredible wealth building tool. I want to know in the comments, do you think it's a good time to buy or no? Let me know in the comments. And what's happening in your market, I would love to hear. If you want to stay updated on the housing market, please hit subscribe. Thank you so much for watching.